Welcome back to The Boys in the Iceberg, the podcast, where we watch Avatar The Last Airbender. As always, I'm Caleb Bader.
And I'm Harley Davis.
We got two great episodes this week. Would you agree? Concur?
No.
You wouldn't?
We have one great episode.
Oh, yeah. You really like the first episode, don't you?
Yeah.
I sort of like it. It's okay. I don't know about it. This episode that we're talking about. Wait, did you even introduce yourself?
Doesn't matter. Well, the first episode we were talking about is the Avatar and the Fire Lord.
No, wait. I think the listeners at home deserve to know who you are.
Doesn't matter. Second episode we're not talking about is the Runaway.
No, we're going to talk about that episode.
We'll get to it eventually, but we're not currently talking about it. We are currently talking about the Avatar and the Fire Lord, which is the first episode.
Yes.
What is your rebuttal to that?
I don't have a rebuttal. What are you talking about? Why are you always... You're always so like defensive and stuff. Not everything's an argument, Harley.
Everything is an argument.
No.
This is where you're wrong.
What I would say to that is this is a pretty good episode. Overall, I'm pleased with it.
The first one or the second one?
The first one. The Avatar and the Fire Lord.
Not the... Well, yeah.
Yeah. So this one is... it really gives us like parallels between Aang and Zuko and sort of the different struggles they're facing at the same time that are concurrent to each other.
Because... Aang, again, if you haven't forgotten, is our main protagonist, and Zuko is still our main antagonist, even though he's struggling with a lot of things.
I wouldn't even say he's the main antagonist now.
You think it's passed over to Azula, or you think it's passed over to Azula was very heavy in the second season.
Right now, it's Combustion Man. Really, it's their main adversary.
I think he's just.
I think the Fire Lord is the main antagonist now.
I think Combustion Man, who's the name that Sokka gives, is just the boots on the ground man right now. Like he's not really the main. Main antagonist.
He's the main adversary that they have right now. The main antagonist would, of course, be the Fire Lord, but I feel like Zuko really isn't even an antagonist anymore.
That's fair. Well, his character development's gotten really good.
Yeah, especially with the last episode, The Beach.
Yeah, he was the antagonist in the first season. I would say Azula is second season antagonist.
Oh, yeah.
Third season is definitely Mark Hamill's the Fire Lord, or Mark Hamill's the Joker.
It's the Fire Lord.
Crossover. They were talking about the Crown Prince earlier.
You realize that, right? You realize it's not the Joker.
No, it's the Joker.
It's the Fire Lord.
How cool would that be?
I wouldn't like that one bit, actually.
What if you were just watching a show one day and you expected just to follow the lines, and then it was a complete terrible crossover of something else that you loved? Like, what if you were just watching Supernatural one day, and then Kim Possible just came on there? And
that's the best parent you could come up with.
It's ridiculous, right?
It's super ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I would love it, though.
I wouldn't put that past Supernatural, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. They've been going.
But this podcast is not about Supernatural. It's about Avatar: The Last Airbender. And we're going to start off with the Avatar and the Fire Lord. So even though this episode focuses on what Zuko and Aang are doing about the same time, the episode's not really about them. It's actually about Roku and Zuko's great-grandfather or great-grandfather?
Just great-grandfather. Sozin, whose Sozin's comet is named after. And turns out, we learned through the little backstory and the little scroll that Zuko's reading that great-grandfather Sozin, and then through the supernatural ethereal thing that Aang's doing with Roku, and Roku were best friends. Sozin and Roku were best friends growing up, and that's weird to me.
Because you do sort of forget that even though Roku is the previous Avatar, he's from the Fire Nation. That's the cycle that it goes through,
and it has been 100 years since the last Avatar.
Yeah, so
that's fair. It's been a 100-year war.
But yeah, we get to see a lot of like how Roku grew up in the Fire Nation, because I think he was always like upper class, because his best friend was the prince of the Fire Nation.
You think they always planned like this part of the story from the very beginning?
I think most of it was actually pretty planned out.
Like, you think they just had like storyboard, like the general concept of season 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, I think
all
so.
The way down.
If I remember, I think Brian Konietzko had talked about that, how this is it's the story they wanted to tell in 3 seasons, and that's why they didn't continue with it. Because they had a vision for it.
Do you ever think there's a story that gets like, for example, SpongeBob isn't a story. It's been going on for like 12 seasons.
It's also not like plot driven. This has an overarching plot.
Let's go with Supernatural then, because it's also like 12 seasons long. So do you think at one point in time they're like, hey, this is the story we want to tell, and they just get carried away with it? Like, say they have 6 seasons and they want to tell their story in 6 seasons, and then their story just gets taken over by other things like merchandise and fans, stuff like that. And they're like, well, we got to keep on forking it out for money. Like, you think they just panic and like make crappy seasons? Is that what happens?
Yeah, they definitely just make stuff up at that point. But that's why Avatar sort of stands apart, because they did say that we have a vision, we're going to do 3 seasons, and then we're going to stop. And they didn't come back after that.
That's
even
good.
Even
that's
though
good
I
writing.
think it did fairly well on Nickelodeon.
Hey, everybody that I know that, even people that I didn't know that I just talked to recently, was like, hey, we do a podcast that's about Avatar. And they're like, oh, I loved that show as a kid.
Yeah,
like,
everyone did.
I've never talked to anybody that's watched it that hated it. It's always been either, oh, I remember that show, or I loved that show.
Yeah.
It's always been generally positive. I love this show.
Oh, yeah, it's so great.
It's my favorite. It's, in my opinion, it's the best show that Nickelodeon's put out.
Oh, definitely. Hands down. Korra doesn't even hold a candle.
You're not wrong. We do get more seasons of Korra, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I do like being in this universe.
Oh, yeah. Any excuse you can get to jump back into the universe of Avatar.
Not any. There's one excuse I wouldn't take.
No, even that.
You would take Shyamalan's movie.
I mean, I wish that it wouldn't have happened, but, you know. Man. I wouldn't even count that as this universe.
That man was dedicating 6 years of his life to doing a trilogy. I said that man. M. Night Shyamalan was ready to dedicate 6 years of his life.
We don't need to talk about M. Night Shyamalan
6 years.
So this episode takes us back with Avatar Roku and Sozin, who are best friends, and everything's going great. We see that Roku's a little bit. He's not well versed in talking to the ladies. He gets clammed up a little bit when he sees a girl he has a crush on.
Well, he does have a disadvantage. Unlike his partner Sozin, he's not voiced by the one and only Ron Perlman. No, if you had his soothing, sultry voice like Ron Perlman, you could get any lady you wanted to.
Yeah, but Sozin is basically telling him to go for it. And Avatar Roku's, he's a little bit of a chicken.
He's a puss.
A yellow belly coward. But
who you calling yellow?
Roku. And then we see that Sozin and Roku actually share a birthday.
Amongst other things.
Yes.
We don't know what those other things are.
No. Interest, I would assume.
My first assumption was women.
And we see that that Sozin is actually pretty much a better bender than Roku. He has a little bit more awareness, and he actually takes down Roku in one of the fights that they have.
Well, technique-wise, yeah, he's better, but eventually he becomes, obviously Roku becomes more powerful because he's the Avatar, and he can control 3 more elements. Yeah,
so we see on the 16th birthday, Sozin and Roku are celebrating it together, and the fire sages show up, and Sozin immediately thinks that something's happened to his dad, who is the Fire Lord. But they say they're not there for Sozin, they're actually there for Roku. And they're there to crown him as the next Avatar.
Which, this is how Avatar Aang was supposed to be crowned, but like Gyatso said, they should have waited till you were 16, and they rushed it because of the impending war. And or was it impending, or did it already happen? Because it had been 11 years since Roku died.
It had already started a little bit. Like, we see that Sozin has sort of laid the groundwork early on.
Okay.
Against Roku's wishes, actually. Roku does not want him to actually go ahead with this plan that he's dreamed up to, what he says, spread the prosperity of the Fire Nation to the other 3 nations.
Yeah, it doesn't sound aggressive the way he's saying it. He's just like, we should share like all our good things happening right now in our nation with the other 3 nations. And Roku says, no, the 4 nations are just that. 4 different nations. They should stay different. They should stay apart. But even though they work together.
Yeah, and this is actually when Roku and Sozin are a little bit more grown up. I think that it's actually on the night of Roku's wedding, after he has become a fully fledged Avatar.
Yes.
And we actually get to see him go through the training that the Avatar goes through.
Yeah, just a little bit of a montage. He's telling Aang about his it doesn't show firebending because obviously he's learned that. What's the first one he shows? Airbending?
I think it's he goes to water first. Or no, yeah, it is airbending.
Because he meets with Monk Gyatso.
Yeah, we actually find out that he knew Monk Gyatso when he was young.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, a young Monk Gyatso. I don't know why they didn't shave Roku's head, though.
I don't think that they have to do that for the Avatar.
Well, they just wouldn't shave... Would they not, like...
They didn't shave Korra's head.
That's fair. Korra also didn't go to the Nomads to get trained.
Yeah,
the Nomads were with her.
She went to Tenzin.
Yeah, but Korra lived with the Nomad, lived with those people, like lived with Korra and Tenzin.
Yeah. I don't understand what you're trying to say there.
Like, she didn't travel the world to be trained. Like, the trainers came to her.
But she did for the air. She went to the air nomad's place.
Am I just forgetting that?
I think you are. But we're not here to talk about Korra. We're here to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender. So, yeah, we do see Roku being trained in the classical Avatar way that Aang has not had the benefit of having at this point.
I mean, it kind of is. It's unorthodox. He's being trained by kids.
Yeah.
But, which is arguably the best way to be trained by your peers, other than,
Is it, though? No, I don't think so. Because Katara had to go get trained so that she could train Aang. So I don't think...
Yeah, it's real dumb.
I think they wasted some time there. But, yeah, so we get to see Roku had left the Fire Nation. And so Sozin, I don't know if he took that, I wouldn't say the wrong way, or took it personally against him, but we sort of see how Sozin and Roku, who had shared a lot of the same ideas in their youth, drift apart. And Sozin is out for world domination now. Whereas Roku, being the Avatar, just wants to bring harmony to everyone.
Sozin's this is what we first see, that Sozin's kind of a psychopath. The first time he gave the idea to Roku, it was kind of just like, hey, let's do this. And the second time he's like, I'm doing this and you can't stop me. And they do this cool little trick where he says something about being the Avatar. Roku says something about being the Avatar. And then Sozin says, well, it's strange that as a citizen you don't bow to your king, but you're the exception. And it's like, you're like, oh, he's going to fight him. But then he's like, nah, they're friends still.
Yeah, but then they ended up fighting because Sozin, it might have been at a later point.
In the next encounter, yeah, they end up fighting because Sozin...
Roku has seen a colony that the Fire Nation has set up in the Earth Kingdom, and goes directly to Sozin and says, "Hey, I told you to knock this off." And then Sozin attacks him, and it goes exactly how you would expect someone fighting the Avatar. He gets his butt handed to him.
Yeah, that's what I pointed out during the podcast, or not during the podcast, during the viewing. I don't care how crazy I would ever get. There would not be a point in time where I would challenge someone who, like, just say I know boxing, okay?
Yeah.
And there's somebody out there who knows boxing and 3 other kinds of martial arts.
Let's say Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor.
In a theoretical match of Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. That'd be such a cool fight.
It's happening.
I know it's going to be the fight of the century.
But it's still, yeah, it's sort of like that. Floyd Mayweather is a really good boxer. There's no doubt about it. Probably one of the best.
Just a really good boxer.
Definitely the best defensive boxer of all time.
He's just a really good boxer.
But
he's not the best boxer there is right now.
Well, I mean, he's retired. He's definitely the best defensive boxer.
He came out of retirement to fight McGregor, didn't he?
Yeah, okay, but that's beside the point. What I'm saying is he is a very good boxer, but Conor McGregor knows all these different styles of martial arts. So in an actual fight, there would be no competition. And that's sort of how it is with an Avatar and then just a regular bender.
Yeah, in this situation, Conor McGregor is Roku.
Yes.
And he's whooping up on Mayweather.
Yes, very, very much so.
Floyd Mayweather Sozin.
Okay, I think the analogy has ended.
I tried to milk it.
But, yeah, so we see that Sozin's still going ahead. And I think that he kind of listens to Roku at that point. I don't think we really have another confrontation until that fateful night.
Oh yeah, the volcano erupts. Roku's really old now.
Roku's got he's got like a settlement that he's living on
a volcano island. He's lived a very peaceful life apparently because he's grown old. There's probably been a couple squabbles he's had to deal with as the Avatar, but he says he's lived a very good life. He's married to that girl now, and then his volcano on his island erupts, and so he tries to get everybody out of there.
And he's doing his best. I think he gets everyone off the island. And then he's just fighting the lava.
He tries to save the island.
Not unlike what we see in one of the previous episodes of Avatar.
At the very beginning?
Yes.
Where Aang, Toph,
fortune teller.
and Katara?
I don't even know if Toph was there yet.
No, Aang and Katara.
Yes, and they have to fend off the lava. Roku's doing that by himself and with a much larger explosion.
Yes. But then You think he's losing?
I think he's just about ready to die.
And then Sozin shows up.
Sozin shows up on his blue dragon. Keep that in mind. He flies in, and you think that...
Was it blue or red?
It was blue, because I pointed this out. Roku had a red dragon. Sozin has a blue dragon. But you think that because they have such differing opinions of like the world and everything, that Sozin would not be a friend with Roku anymore, but that's not the case. He still feels like Roku's his brother.
They grew up together, though. Like, there's still mutual respect there.
Like, oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, even with the, this is going to sound dumb and nerdy, but like the Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, and Dr. Doom respect. Like, they're mortal enemies, but they went to college together.
Yeah. But
there's still a respect there. Eddie Brock and Spider-Man, they grew up together, and stuff like that. But there's always going to be mutual respect with somebody you grew up with. That you bonded with him over time. And so he came back and he's like, hey... Like, I don't know if he saw the explosion or if he felt the earthquake or if,
he saw the explosion from across the water.
And so he went and helped him, and he potentially he saves Roku.
He definitely does.
But then they go to leave.
I want to point out at one point it appears as though Roku is airbending. Or not Roku, Sozin is airbending.
You pointed that out, but I didn't rewind to check and see who it was.
I don't know what it is. It might be like just smoke or something like that he technically could because of firebending, but it looks like he's siphoning all the hot air out of the volcano, which is weird to me because I didn't know he could do that.
I don't know. He's a pretty good firebender.
Yeah.
He's the Fire Lord.
Fire Lord. So yeah, he shows up and ostensibly saves Roku, and they're fighting it together. And it looks as if they're not going to necessarily win, but they can escape. They can get off of the island without dying.
Everyone at this point has escaped except for them.
And they've held it at bay as best they could, but they've reached a point where they can't anymore.
Yeah. So there's a small little part that I've never liked because it wasn't brought up until the very end when it's probably been happening since the volcano started erupting. He goes, Roku says, avoid the poison gas.
And there's just like little geysers coming up every once in a while.
And it steams 3 different times right in front of him, and then it steams right into Roku's face. And then he passes out, and he says something about it being too much to breathe. And Sozin has now come to the realization that, hey, with my ex-best friend out of the way, who is this all-powerful avatar, if I kill him now or let him die, the avatar will just be reborn as a baby, and that baby can't stop me.
Yeah.
Because by the time the baby becomes full power, I will have control of the entire world.
So I don't know if
all those thoughts are in his head right now.
He takes this opportunity to move along with his plan of world domination.
And he says that. He goes, with you out of the way, I can finally succeed in my plans.
And so we get to see that, and this is all through, like, we're seeing it through the eyes of Aang, who is with Roku, but then Zuko has also been following, like, this trail of breadcrumbs that are, like, clues about his great-grandfather.
Yeah, 2 different perspectives you get.
And he is reading journals from Sozin, whereas Aang is being talked to by Roku. So they're seeing the same thing, but from both ways.
Which I like that a lot. But so Sozin just basically leaves Roku there to die. And Roku's dragon curls up with him, and they get covered in ash. And then Aang is born immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's it for the Aang part of the story, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then Zuko confronts his uncle.
Yeah, the cool thing. So Zuko figures out the whole like where this quest started for Zuko to find these clues is he gets a scroll and he doesn't know who it's from, but he puts it together that it's from his uncle. So he goes to see him, and he's like, I read all about Sozin, but that doesn't help me. It doesn't help me find like who I really am and why I'm so conflicted and everything. And Iroh drops a little bit of a bomb on Zuko.
Yeah, not only does Zuko have one grandfather, he has 2 grandfathers.
Of course.
And the second grandfather is none other than Avatar
Roku. That's a major... Zuko was very surprised, to say the least. He was not expecting anything like that.
Do you think most of the original audience was surprised too?
Oh yeah, I'd say so.
Like, that's a pretty big twist, man.
Because like there's no way you'd just be like, oh yeah, sure.
That's some serious royalty though. Like, you got firebending or foundation royalty and spiritual royalty. And I mean, that's some serious bending.
I mean, technically,
abilities.
Aang is Zuko's grandfather.
Well,
I mean,
if you want to look at it that way,
yeah,
Aang's past life,
great grandfather, really.
Aang's reincarnated state isn't necessarily, but
I think it counts. I would give it.
If you're counting reincarnation as family, then familial ties, then yeah, they're related.
Yeah. So I mean, that's really where the episode ends, with that bombshell.
Yeah. And that's about it for that episode.
Yeah, I really did like this episode.
I loved it. It's my favorite of all 3 seasons.
I don't know. It's got good symbolism. With you sort of see the struggle that Aang and Zuko have a similar struggle. Really, they both want to see. Oh, well, I mean, Zuko doesn't necessarily want to see the world come to peace, but he knows that what's going on in the Fire Nation is wrong.
I think he does want to see the world come to peace because he has come to realize that what is going on in the Fire Nation is wrong. I think his version of peace at the time of being under the rule of the Fire Nation was to spread more Fire Nation all across the land. But now that he realizes their way of that is wrong, he's like, wow, this is not the peace that I wanted.
Yeah.
Or that the world wanted. Like he they're wrong. And I like that a lot. But yeah, that's basically the end of the episode. What do you think about the Avatar and the Fire Lord?
It was okay. I do like it.
Get out of here. It was. I don't know if it's the best.
I don't know if it's my favorite.
I think it's my favorite because I love Ron Perlman, and I like that we got a lot of Roku in this episode, and I like the elements that are in there and the relationships between Sozin and Roku. I like that a lot.
Okay, I think that just about wraps the episode up. Let's hop into a little bit of trivia. So the Fire Nation colony that Roku and Fang see has a large wall similar to that of Ba Sing Se. We noticed this during the episode. I don't think it could be Ba Sing Se, right? Because they never overtook it.
No, they didn't take Ba Sing Se until... Because that was the whole point of the 100-day siege of Ba Sing Se.
Yeah.
Was to get Ba Sing Se, and it never happened.
So it must be just a similar building style in Earth Kingdom.
Probably like an Omashu kind of thing.
Yeah, a smaller city. Okay, so the relationship between Roku and Sozin going from friend to enemy... And that's a spoiler, so I'm going to stop reading that. Roku's wife, Ta Min, which is her name, makes her first and sole appearance in this episode.
Tommen?
Ta Min, 2 words.
Tommen, as in the person from Game of Thrones?
Probably.
I think it's one of the boys from Game of Thrones.
I don't know. The creator stated this episode to be one of the most complex of the series, with by far the most background designs of any episode.
They did a good job, though.
They did go to a lot of different places, too, more than we've seen so far.
But also, you have to look out through continuity, and you have to look up, you have to pay attention to what you're doing throughout all 3 seasons to make sure you don't trip over yourself, because you're going back in time there with a huge flashback. It's a 22-minute long flashback.
Yeah.
You have to make sure you don't trip over
yourself. Basically, the entire episode is flashback.
They did a really good job.
Roku said during his wedding flashback that as the Avatar, you get noticed by the ladies. And got the same advice from the other prisoners during his time in Chin Village Prison.
The bald dudes?
Yeah. the snake tattoo guys.
Where he casually escapes.
And this isn't a piece of trivia on here, but...
well, then don't read it. It's trivia time.
Wrapping it up, I'm just going to say, I think that there's a little bit more symbolism with the blue dragon and the red dragon. So the blue dragon belonging, of course, to Sozin, and the red dragon belonging to Roku. Earlier in season 2, Zuko is having sort of a fight between himself. He's in like this coma, and the blue dragon is voiced by Azula and is sort of tempting him to give in to what his father would want for him as the Fire Lord. And the red dragon is the voice of Iroh, is sort of the voice of reason, saying, "Don't listen to the blue dragon; it's evil." And I just think that's cool that it's represented that way with his grandfathers also.
Yeah. That's neat. That's neat.
Thanks,
neat, dude.
Thank you for that input.
That's neat, dude.
Okay, moving on to the next episode.
Which is called The Runaway.
Is it now?
Well, I think it is. I could have been wrong.
Yes, it is. You're correct.
That's good. Because it's about Toph.
I would say I like this episode more than I like the last episode.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's a fluff piece, though. I mean, we get Combustion. Oh, Sparky Boom Man. Oh, he isn't named at all until this episode. But we call him Combustion Man earlier.
Yeah.
We don't get him. We get him at the end of the episode, and that's about it. There's a huge fight scene, but there's a lot of fluff.
I don't even know if this is... I wouldn't say it's fluff.
We get slight Toph character development.
We get a lot of Toph character development. I'd say because so far Toph has been basically like a rock, just like she doesn't really care about anything, and she's just doing this because she wants to do it. And we get to see a little bit more of her motivations and more of her reservations in this episode.
Get a lot of her softer side, if you will.
Yes. So this episode starts out with I don't even know. I'm at a loss here.
Oh, it starts out with Katara and Toph fighting.
Oh,
Toph getting captured by the Fire Nation guards.
So we're going back to the old trope that Katara is no fun, and she's just the mother of the group, and everyone hates her.
I do hate her.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. She does have some pretty good points at parts in this episode, though.
I think the only part, like, this is going to sound really dumb and objective. Sorry, feminists. But if they would not have drawn Katara to be pretty, I would hate her through and through. Like, through my third watch, I would hate her through and through.
I really don't like her.
There are no redeeming qualities to you at all, Katara.
No, she's just a pretty face. You heard it here first. But yeah, Toph and Katara are going at it. Toph is a little bit sick of Katara bossing her around, I think is what it boils down to.
I think Katara's still sick of Toph not carrying her weight.
Yeah. That's definitely part of it.
Being a douche.
I wouldn't say anything along those lines, but so
I did.
So Toph strikes out on her own with Sokka and Aang, and they decide they're going to go into town and buy some stuff
with their last silver piece. They're like, "What are we going to buy?" And Toph simply says, "More money." And so they find one of those little coconut things where there's rocks underneath the coconuts, and they shift them around and stuff like that. And you got to figure out which one the rock is underneath. And they she bets the one silver piece, and the dude
she's hustling him.
Yeah, you can see how sneaky it is because he drops all three pieces in there, and so whichever coconut you pick, there's a rock underneath it. So you pick it up, and then you get your hopes up. You're like, hey, I'm really good at this. So you want to do it again a second time.
On the first round, she only bet 1 coin, and she gained to win 2 coins. So the dealer's like, okay, I'm just gonna like throw him a bone, and then they'll be like, oh, wow, my luck is really good. Let's go again. And then he's going to screw them out of their money. Which
is what he bets. He bets 40, or he bets 20 silver pieces. But remember Sokka's sword that he got from Sokka's Master episode? She gives it to him as a wager.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, 40 silver coins it is then. And she uses her earthbending to cheat the cheater. He moves his coconuts around, whichever one, it might be a coconut, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But he pulls his coconuts around, and he throws 2 of the 3 rocks into his robes, goes to throw the third one in there, too. That way there's no coconuts or no rocks under any of the coconuts, and Toph simply earthbends the rock back underneath the coconut.
And then she points to the one who it is, and he lifts up things like, no, sorry, and then sees the rock sitting there, little pebble. And
he's very surprised.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's going on. They take the money and get out of there.
And they go back to Katara, and they say, and Katara's like, hey, how'd you get this money? You know how Katara speaks. And she's like, oh, we scam people. We cheated the cheaters. And she goes, well, you better not do this ever again.
Because you're going to call attention to yourself.
Yeah. And Aang says, I solemnly swear that as the Avatar, I will no longer do that. And then
smash cut to
immediately jumps into a montage of them just doing
that. And we get to see some dumber ones. Like the next one is like these little. It's like I guess it's sort of like a dreidel thing. They're rolling 2 sticks. I guess it's like craps or something like that. Dice.
Yeah, I like dice. It's like rolling dice. It's basically like that scene from El Dorado.
Yeah, and so then she's manipulating that, and then we get to see the next one, which I think is the dumbest one. This is the one that's going to get you found out. It's like a carnival where you take the hammer and you hit like the little thing, and I don't even know, the ball goes up to the very top.
And the hammer and the bell.
Yeah, and it dings or whatever, and
it explodes that thing.
Yeah, she uses earthbending on the very back end of the hammer to swing it right into the little pad where you have to hit it.
She's a little bitty thing. She can barely hold the hammer, but it first shows before that a very large man
who can't even
get all the way up there, and she used earthbending to cheat that. So that's kind of a jerk move.
I would even say it's reckless, because that's the one thing where it's going to be like, wait a second. Like the other ones,
wait a tick.
The other ones it's left up to chance, and you can be like, sort of, oh well, you got lucky.
You could be like, how many earthbenders are really on the Fire Kingdom?
It doesn't matter. I would still be suspicious.
People are pretty dumb, Caleb.
I would still be suspicious of a little girl.
People are pretty dumb
who destroyed the machine.
Yeah, but the third one, the little third scheme they have, is more of a You call it a grift.
Yeah,
they straight up con this dude.
They're no longer like scamming the scammers or cheating the cheaters. They just became con men.
How old is that trick though, where they they pretend to get run over by the horse cart?
As long as there have been horse carts,
and then they get money, because you can't see out of those things. Your horse is just going, and your dude that is above, he's in front of the wheel, so he doesn't know what's going on in front of the wheel. And
I don't even know if this one had that portion of this.
Was there even a horse?
It was probably like a horse bird or something like that.
A horse bird, like a Pegasus.
No,
How crazy would that be?
The giant birds that Zuko was riding around on. Zuko alone.
Gryffindor.
What are you talking about?
Griffin, not Gryffindor.
It's not a griffin. A griffin is a lion.
Isn't a griffin
a lion bird?
That's still a bird, though.
No, but it's like an eagle / lion.
A sphinx.
No,
I'm back to the lion thing.
I don't even think a sphinx is a type of animal.
The sphinx has the lion thing going on,
though. Okay, so there's a little bit of debate in the scientific community, or I guess in the archaeological community, about this, because a lot of people think that the sphinx was actually not supposed to have the head of a human. It was actually just more like a dog. Because if you look at the head, so I'm going to get into a little bit.
No, that's fine, because the sphinx thing's fascinating.
Yeah, so all of the Egyptian sculptures and stuff, very proportional, very precise. If you look at the hieroglyphics and stuff, it's all very well mapped out. Well, if you look at the Sphinx, it's this giant body and this little teeny tiny head. So they think at one point a pharaoh came along and said, "Hey, put my head on that dog," and that's where the Sphinx came out. And that's just a theory. But I think it's very intriguing.
Well, have you seen what is almost a Renaissance version of a painting of a Sphinx?
I have not.
It's creepy.
Is it?
It's like a very womanesque dog body, and she's very sexual with it too. And then her head. It's creepy, man.
Yeah,
it's really creepy. I wouldn't want to meet one of those things ever.
Animal human hybrids.
I'd shoot it probably. I don't even have a gun. I'd just shoot it.
It's giant.
Anyways, back to this.
Yeah, so they're conning this person. So Toph stops the cart with this little rock wedge that she puts in front of the wheel.
I would have immediately gotten rid of that rock.
Yeah, she left it there, which was weird, I thought.
Yeah,
because they're gonna find out.
They'd be like, "Oh snap!" When they go to move again, and Toph's out of the way, they're like, "Well, we can't move now."
Yeah, so Toph ends up pretending that she's hurt. And then the rich guy who owns the horse and buggy or whatever it's called
tries to run away.
Yeah, he comes out, and Sokka's dressed in a guard uniform with his signature beard back
and his sword. He's using it as a police baton.
Yeah, he just gets a whole pile of money. So now they're rolling in it.
Oh yeah, because Toph at one point has gold coins because Sokka's. Yeah, they all go back to the little campground.
Yeah.
And they talk to Katara, and Katara's still really mad.
Toph has got this giant stack of money that she's over there with.
Well, she hasn't been spending it at all.
No. I don't know.
I don't even know if Aang's been spending it. Well, Aang's been one of the grifts, and it was at the very beginning where he did the weird thing with the coins in his fingers, and they did the the dice. The second one was strictly Toph. The third one was Toph and Sokka. So he hasn't really been in them, but he's been around, I guess. So maybe he's not been getting his fair share of wages because he's not been in them. But anyways,
I don't know.
So they come back to the campground. Katara's really mad still, and starts
for a good reason. She actually has a good reason to be mad at them in this instance.
Yeah, because they've actually gone from doing scheming the schemers to actually stealing people's money.
Yeah, it's just they're straight up con men again.
That's fine. Con men are cool. Sawyer from Lost example.
But so Sokka decides that he is going to go and spend some of his hard-earned money on a messenger hawk from the Fire Nation.
How cool would that be if those things still existed?
It'd be super cool. We killed all the messenger pigeons though.
I want one though.
They're dead. You can't have one.
You can train more.
No, it's a specific species.
Okay, but I've seen, now this is going to sound dumb, again, because of movies. I've seen in movies, though, what do they have, those cage, pigeons up on top of roofs? What is that?
Those aren't messenger pigeons.
What are they?
Homing pigeons.
What's the difference? I was about to ask. Homing pigeons.
I think all the homing pigeons are dead.
So those are just regular pigeons?
Yeah,
posing as
just straight up regular pigeons.
Man, that's crazy.
I think so those pigeons might, go back to the cage or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the homing pigeons who... carried messages and stuff over long distances, I'm pretty sure that they're dead. I don't know.
You could have just lied to me, and I'll be very upset.
Maybe. Let's just count it as fact and move on.
Whoa. Fact dish.
What?
We'll call it a fact dish.
A fact dish? dish of facts?
Not fact-ish.
Fact-ish.
Not fact-dish. You're not going to eat this
How
fact.
about fact adjacent?
Fact adjacent? Fact... No, I don't like it.
Let's agree to disagree.
It's too many words.
And move on.
Moving on. But then after all that nonsense with the bird, what's Combustion Man, I guess, has put out flyers.
We don't know who has done it.
We don't know. We don't know.
But Sokka's walking home with his messenger hawk, and he comes across a wanted poster. It looks like a menacing Toph. Somebody's drawn.
She's got sharp teeth.
Yeah, which is a weird thing.
That's
I guess
fine.
She's just scary.
Maybe somebody put a rumor that she eats rock.
Because I always thought that that like the people that they were conning had put this up. So I don't know if let's skip ahead just a little bit for context. We find out later Combustion Man is in town and he uses Katara and Toph as bait to find the Avatar. I always thought that the people that Toph was conning put the poster up, and then Combustion Man found them because of that.
I don't think that's true. I think it's that Katara and Toph, they go about their little scheme that we're going to talk about here in a second. But they go into town. Toph gets caught, and then Katara goes to collect the reward from the person who put up the poster, and it's Combustion Man, and that's why the guy turns her into Combustion Man. He's like, "Hey, here's your reward."
Yeah,
it's actually my reward because that makes sense. Combustion Man's the guy who wanted you.
Okay, so what happens is Katara and Toph have really come to not really a standstill, but they've come to this point where they're just not speaking to each other. Katara doesn't feel like Toph is taking the interest of everybody else in the group into consideration, and Toph just feels like Katara's being overbearing and bossy.
Well, also they pile this on thick because Sokka brings up the poster. He tears it down and brings it to Toph, and he tells Toph about it. And Toph does a funny little thing where he shows it to her, and she goes, "I can't read that. I'm going to assume it's a piece of paper, but I can't read what's on it because I'm blind." And so he tells her about it, and she gives him a bag full of gold bars to go buy him a new atlas, a new world atlas, and to bribe him to keep to let her have
it away from Katara,
to let her have the poster. So Katara won't find out, but then Katara does find out because Katara goes snooping because Katara's the worst.
Yeah, I was with her up until this point, and then she had to go through Toph's stuff.
You don't ruffle through people's stuff with no good reason.
Well, I mean, there was a little bit of a good reason, but I still think it's
she just thought she knew. She just thought there was a poster in there, a wanted poster.
No, I think she knew that
what
they
would she
were
be
up
ruffling
to,
for.
She knew they were up to something, and so she wanted to find out more information.
She's the worst. Is what she is.
Yeah, I mean, but there is a good underlying reason between this. But this is where Katara and Toph are really. They're not speaking to each other. They pretty much hate each other at this point.
Yeah, their argument really comes to a head, and they just kind of go off their separate ways. And so then Sokka tries to mend the gap there with the hawk and with a message to Katara, and Katara reads it, and she immediately gets mad, rips it up, and screams, "I know this isn't from Toph because Toph can't write.
Yeah,
Toph's blind."
So Sokka sent over a message to Katara saying, from Toph presumably, that she's very sorry and she realized she was in the wrong and she apologizes.
Yeah, but that doesn't bode over well. So what happens? I think Katara goes off to take a bath.
Yeah, Katara goes off, and Sokka comes up with a plan B,
which we don't really get to. He doesn't establish the plan, which I like. I like that we don't get the plan established. It comes in really well. And they go over to the ledge where, unbeknownst to Toph, Katara is bathing right underneath that ledge. And so Sokka and Toph have a little heart-to-heart. And Sokka starts to spill the beans about his mom and about how motherly, ever since his mom has died, Katara's been the motherly figure for him. And she's really just, helped him through all that emotional trauma that he suffered through.
Yeah, and then so we get Toph talking about her parents and how she's not just super angry at them for keeping her cooped up. She really misses him, and she thinks she might have hurt their feelings or something along those lines when she left.
Yeah, she genuinely ran away from home with no explanation why.
So we get that she doesn't not care about her parents still. She doesn't hate them. She actually really loves them, and she's worried she might have done something to break their relationship.
And this is the top character development we get today, and I like it a lot.
Uh-huh.
It's I don't think it's overbearing character development, but I enjoyed it a lot.
And so Katara hears all this, and at one point I think Toph says that she really actually appreciates how Katara acts and stuff, and how she really helps her out.
And then she immediately sucker punches Sokka and says, "Hey, don't tell anybody about this."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Whoa, all right, I won't tell anybody."
But Katara already knows.
Katara heard everything because Sokka planned it that way.
Yes. So his plan really did come together
For once.
Yeah.
He's come a long way since those fire bombs he tried to make.
Yep, that did not work at all.
It did not work at all.
So yeah, Katara mends everything up with Toph, and so yeah, Toph comes back and says, "Hey, I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize to me because it's my fault. I'm going to stop doing the schemes." And then Katara, nobody really expects it, but she says, "Oh no, you don't have to apologize. I want to do a scheme with you."
And they do, and their scheme is, since Katara's already found out that people are looking for Toph, they use that to their advantage. So they're going to collect the reward money on Toph, and they're going to break Toph out of jail. And so they turn Toph in. And so they play out this whole dramatic scene in town where Toph's like, "You betrayed me, blah, 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 blah." And Katara's like, "Well, you're an idiot, blah, 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 blah.
Give me my money."
And then she goes to get the reward, and they drag Toph off. And then when Toph gets thrown in jail, they realize it's a wooden prison, not metal or earth. So
or water. So she can't bend her way out.
She can't get out. So she can't get out at all. And then we see Katara go get her reward, like we were talking earlier. And then the guy says, "Hey, this is the lady you were looking for." And Combustion Man shows up and takes Katara and throws her in there with Toph.
So yeah, so then we do find out that it was Combustion Man who was offering the reward, and it was a trap. I guess he's just very intelligent, because so many things could have gone wrong, and this wouldn't have worked out at all.
I like him. He's the Darth Maul that I wanted.
Yes, he's a very Darth Maul.
He doesn't talk at all. Like Darth Maul said a few words.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk at all, and I love. Like I don't think he says
finally
a lot. The entire time he's in this season.
The Jedi will know of our presence once again. But
he doesn't say anything in this show. Darth Maul, that is, because he's not in the show. Neither does Combustion Man.
Yeah, so now Katara and Toph are both in this wooden prison.
And no water, no metal, no earth, so they can't get out. And this is when Aang and Sokka start to get curious.
They're like, "What's going on here?
It's been too long.
They've been gone for 2 weeks, and they should be back by now."
Man.
They died in jail.
It's been 2 weeks. We haven't fed them. They're dead. We find out that Katara is disgusting, and she uses her sweat to bust out of jail.
You say it's disgusting. I don't think it's really that disgusting.
It's resourceful. It's really resourceful, but it's really gross.
I don't know if I don't agree with that.
That's just weird. Just imagine having a bottle of your sweat, and you're just...
She doesn't have a bottle of it. She's using it to cut through
I know,
the bars.
but she has at least like a handful of it. Just imagine just having a palmful of your sweat. Your own sweat. Like, it wouldn't be as bad as your own, but... Yeah. And you could take that, and you could just cut things with it. Like,
yeah, that'd be awesome. I would love that.
Weird, man.
But she ends up breaking out, and Aang and all of them are fighting Combustion Man.
There's some pretty cool choreography here. Not amazing choreography, because there's not a lot of bending versus bending. It's bending versus explosive.
It's mostly just explosions.
But it's better choreography than the last Combustion Man thing we had. Mm-hmm. This is at one point in time, he goes to shoot off the little laser beam thingy that he has, little rocket beam, and they freeze his head solid. Yeah,
Katara comes. It looks like Aang is going to die, really, and Katara comes in and just freezes this cone around his head.
Sokka should have gotten his legs blown off.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We were debating. We were talking about that earlier. We should have, if we had like an R-rated, like 45-minute episode long, 45 long. What I'm trying to say is, whatever,
that'd be so good
on Netflix or something like that. Ah, man, that'd be so good.
Yeah, it'd be really good.
Like, because we've got what we've got Death Note coming to Netflix. That's what is that? Probably rated R. People are gonna die all the time. Death is in the name. We have what's his name?
I don't know what you're talking
Punisher's coming to Netflix. It's not gonna be an R though. But Spawn. I think Spawn's coming to Netflix.
Okay.
But like Inhumans is coming to HBO. Like that's some R stuff.
Yeah.
Like not Inhumans. Watchmen. Like, I want to see all that.
Yeah, I think they could. This show would really do well.
It would. I don't think you'd have to get somebody really good behind it to helm it, like how they have with
Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, there you go. He hasn't done much a lot lately, but like how they have Kevin Feige looking over all the Marvel productions, and then they have individual directors for each episode, like they do for shows.
Yeah,
which is it's
get Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko on it.
Do you think they could make like What's the difference between the transition from animation and live action? What's the directing?
I'd say the directing is probably the same.
Because in animation, you're just directing voices.
Yes,
and you're writing screenplays and storyboards.
You're also, the storyboard is a big thing. So basically, with an animation, you just have like really, really precise storyboards. So if you just think about that, you can still frame a shot the same way you would with a storyboard. So the only difference would be directing the actors and what they do. But I think it would about be it probably wouldn't be that difficult.
You think so?
For a director, like if you look, what's the guy who went from Pixar movies to doing Mission Impossible? Brad Bird.
Brad Bird.
Yeah. So he did a really good action movie, whereas I don't think he'd ever directed live action before that, right?
I couldn't tell you. I should know this.
I don't know.
I don't know. But anyways, that's pretty much the end of the episode right there. They fight and then they go.
Well, okay, I did want to say something. One I thought it was really cool.
Well,
at one point,
they bruise his eye.
Yeah, at one point, he shoots off Combustion Man shoots off a explosion, and at the same time, Toph had sent a giant boulder. Well, it blows off Toph's boulder, but it still sends like a little pebble-sized rock that hits him right in his third eye. And I thought it was really cool because it looked like it really hurt him. So it's not just a tattoo on his forehead. It's really like another appendage.
And he goes to blow off another explosion, and you hear pop, 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 and you see little flickers of like stars around him.
Yeah.
And then it blows up, and it sends him flying back into the wall.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool thing.
So he's wounded for a little bit, I like that a lot. That's pretty cool. Yeah, but that's the end of the episode. They get away scot free, no big deal. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, I really do like this episode.
Well, Toph sends that stupid message to her parents.
Oh yeah,
that's the very end of the episode.
I'm so sorry. I hope you enjoy yourself or something.
I'm an idiot.
Okay, yeah. So that's the end of the episode. I really enjoy this episode. I really do think that I like it better than the last one.
You're wrong.
I know it's a controversial opinion, but I'm gonna stick to it.
You're wrong.
Let's get into a little bit of trivia. Okay, so Toph pretending to be hit by a carriage carrying a wealthy merchant bears similar to a real insurance scam known as a flopsy.
Flopsy, like the bunny thing from like the second season?
But this is in real life.
First season.
Yes. So the scam is actually called a flopsy.
They do it in Shrek too, when Donkey turns into the horse.
Yeah, okay.
And we get Antonio Banderas as Puss in Boots. Take off the powdered wig and step away from your draw house.
Yes, that is also a flopsy.
I love it.
This is the only episode in which Hockey appears. After being sent to deliver a message to Toph's parents, Hockey is never seen again.
That's depressing. How much money do you think he spent on that thing?
A giant sack of silver. I mean,
yeah, it was pretty big, but he did cheat his way through it. He didn't earn it morally good standing stuff.
I guess I don't know what you're trying to say.
I don't know either. He didn't earn it fair.
Toph's ability to know when she had won caused authorities to believe she was not actually blind. A section of her wanted poster asserts that she disguises herself as a blind person. So, was this set up by the authorities and not Combustion Man? I don't know.
I'm going to keep calling BS on that because I cannot read that.
The evidence is inconclusive.
I personally cannot read the wanted poster, so I'm calling BS on that.
The wanted poster offered 1,000 gold pieces as a reward for turning in Toph.
I'm still calling BS on that because I cannot read the wanted poster myself.
I don't think you can.
Gotta see it to believe it.
If it can be translated, I think that you should have to go with it.
Yeah, but until I've seen that translation step by step.
This is the first and only episode of the first series. First series? This is the first and only episode of the series to begin in media res.
I don't know what that
which
means.
I believe is when they start the episode with a shot later in the episode.
Oh, okay.
Because that is actually how it starts. We see what we think is Katara betraying Toph and turning her into the authorities.
You know, I wrote a book like that one time in 5th grade.
Okay.
Mrs. Trotter said it was really good. What's she doing now?
I don't know. Teaching, probably?
You think she's still teaching? She was like 50 when we were in 5th grade, man. That was 12 years ago.
Okay.
She's so old. Oh, my God.
This is one of the many episodes where Sokka and Aang forget Toph is blind and cannot write. There's many episodes.
How do you... Well, I guess if she's basically doing everything anybody else can do. I don't know why you would... That's fair. She can basically see.
When Toph hits the hammer at the carnival, there's a woman among the crowd who is dressed in the same way as she is. There's a Toph fan in the crowd.
That's awesome.
The town Team Avatar visited was once named North Chun Ling, but the construction of the giant statue of Fire Lord Ozai caused the people to change its name to the Fire Fountain City.
That statue's pretty dope.
Yeah, it really is.
I want like a very small version of it on my office desk.
Do they have like oil or something in there that keeps it lit?
I have no idea.
Or do they have a firebender over there who's like...
There's a firebender inside of it the entire time. It's like, they have shifts. That's awesome. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's just about it for trivia.
Well then, that means that's about it for us.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for listening. As always, I've been Caleb Bader.
And I have been Harley Davis.
We'll see you here next week.
Bye!